Hey, this is Nic Novicki. I'm at the world famous Comedy Magic Club with another episode of Behind the Punchline. First question: how did you get into stand-up comedy? I was 1.5 years old, and I I did start pretty young, and I used to do like speaking gigs, raising money for Little People of America, and I remember I would speak at like these Rotary clubs, and a lot of times there would be a podium there, and so I would just do a joke kind of about it, like, hey, who forgot the stool? And it would just be like a bit with me behind the podium, and I didn't realize, but I was basically doing stand-up comedy. So I found an open mic in Philadelphia where people were doing comedy, and I was like, what is this? And it was something that I was already sort of doing a version of when I would tell stories, but something that I love. It is an amazing art form, and it's a community too. Stand-up comedy, doesn't matter where you are in the country, you're gonna run into somebody that you've known for years and years, including some people that I literally started doing comedy with at that little club in Philadelphia, the Laugh House. Who are your comedic influences and why? I would say, George Carlin. I mean, an amazing comedian. He's somebody that I remember watching as a kid and just being blown away by what a storyteller he is, his point of view. Sinbad, too, is a comedian that I loved. Bill Cosby was somebody that was a comedian that I really loved watching growing up and watching his shows. I know that's maybe not the best answer, and being here tonight, Jay Leno, somebody watching the Tonight Show and getting introduced to all these other comedians. Can you describe a particular memorable performance or show that stands out in your career? I've been very lucky to I opened for Nate Bargatze, so I got to open for some of his comedy specials, and so one of those specials, it was during the pandemic, so everybody had masks on. And this is like the heat of the pandemic. And so I'm literally, doing comedy and with all these cameras everywhere, and I'm looking out, and just everybody had masks. And I think that whole tour, we did drive-in movie theaters around the country, so cars would honk at us. So that's got to be up there, followed by, any of the USO tours I've done. I mean, getting to perform for the troops was really one of the highlights of my life, and just being there for them and allowing them to feel comedy and feel the experience was truly amazing. Have you ever bombed on stage? How did you recover from it? Yes, I have definitely bombed on stage. I think now, I've been doing it for a long time. So if a joke doesn't go well, or I'm struggling, luckily you have a set of jokes that you can go to, and you can get the crowd back. But when I first started, I started in a really rough area, and it's I think I insulted somebody in the first row. I'm doing fine, and I said something, and somebody talked over me, and I was like, well, you just don't get it. And it started with just one or two boos. The entire audience is booing at me, just booing. Meanwhile, I'm a teenager at this point, and I have some girl that I invited to, and I tell her I'm some like, yeah, don't worry, this is gonna be an amazing show. It's a sold out show, and now I am getting booed. So now I'm up there, and I'm literally I'm just continuing to go. and they're booing me, and literally somebody is pulling me off stage, and I'm still trying to tell like a story because I'm like, I'm gonna win it back. So that was a time that did not work. So can you describe how you handle nerves or anxiety before going on stage? Um, a lot of times I just don't think about it. I think once you get onto stage, the nerves are gone. Sometimes though, when you're waiting for a long time, similar to filming, I've acted in a lot of different shows. The waiting around sometimes can be the nerve-wracking part. You're waiting, everything's getting set. That could be the nerve-wracking part. But luckily, I feel like this is a blessing. Once you get out there, the nerves are gone, and you're just kind of having fun and doing what you love to do. So I would say, how do you get over it? Is just practice, and also just being relaxed. And it helps when you're around, people you're friends with. And luckily, as a comedian, you're always around friends, because this is definitely a community, and especially at a great club like here, the Comedy Magic Club. Comics never want to leave. It's like a hang. It's just the best. So it's hard to be nervous because it's such a supportive place. What advice would you give aspiring comedians just starting out? Get on stage as much as you can. Get yourself into awkward situations, because that's a great place to get material when stuff goes wrong. For me, I'm a storyteller, so that's always been my inspiration when I get into situations. But really, it's about getting up as much as you can. What's the most unusual or unique location where you've performed stand-up comedy? I've done multiple USO tours, so literally I've performed in cafeterias in the Middle East, inside airports, inside, all the craziest locations. But that's the beauty of comedy. There's always a place where a show can happen. If it's a subway, if it's something, sometimes you'll get asked to do shows and you have no idea what you're getting into. But definitely up there would be the drive-in tours that I was on, because you're literally performing to cars.
Do you remember how you first got started here at the Comedy Magic Club?
I believe the first time I got started here, I think I went with some other comedians and was just hanging out. But I used to actually live right around here. And so this club, is a club that I always wanted to perform at. And I think the first time I got to perform here was on one of the birthday shows. And for anybody that hasn't been to the birthday shows, come during the summer. It's an opportunity where you're going to see 20 comics. You get to see legends, be there with legends, people that you've grown up with. And as a comedian, it's all about just hanging out and being around with other people. And I think comedians, it's kind of like a fraternity almost. People recommend other people. So I think I was recommended to get in here. And then, it's a process. But, it's my favorite club. And, everybody, the staff, the people who run it, the club, the comedians, it's the most welcoming place for comedy. And it's the most fun. So I feel very honored to be here. I know the birthday shows are over, but happy birthday to this club that's been around for so long. Really making comedians' careers.
And tonight you're opening for Jay Leno. How are you feeling?
So tonight I got to open for Jay Leno. This is somebody that I grew up watching on the Tonight Show, and it's an honor. Honestly, it's a milestone to get to open for somebody that you grew up admiring and a fan of, and he's such a supportive guy, and he's a comic. Right away, it's hey, how you been? How's this? You've been doing this show or that? Right away, he's just truly a comedian's comedian, and makes you feel welcome, and there's a reason why audiences have loved him for years, because he's the best at what he does.